Very nice.
Okay, it looks like we're ready to go. So welcome, John and Cheryl and Rachel, our amazing agents from KWA who are going to be doing a session today on virtual listing presentations. Thank you very much. It's awesome.
Fantastic. I guess what we can do just to preface this is kind of what Cheryl and I will do for our basic listing presentation. The fact that we're not able to occasionally do it in person means we've had to shift and pivot a little bit. But I also just want to let you know that Cheryl and I have been through Bold, Ignite, Track. These are all curriculums that are coaching and training based, held with Keller Williams Advantage. And we have taken the scripts for these listing presentations and made a few changes so that it kind of fits our style, our technique. But I also just want to let you know that while we usually do go from the scripts, and we used to do it verbatim, what we've discovered is that a script is great if you practice it so that you know each one of the pieces, the format, the information. However, we usually find our most successful listing presentations are more of a conversation. And by asking good questions, that you're going to be able to glean a lot of information from your potential clients, their motivation, and it's going to make your life a lot easier throughout the entire listing process once you get it.
And sometimes it's useful to be able to read your clients or your potential clients, because every person takes in the information differently. And if you ask good questions, you sort of can read them and know how to move forward with them.
Exactly. Now, with a virtual listing presentation, I think it's kind of important that you do have a little bit of dialogue before you set up your Zoom call, because you're going to need information about the property. For condos, typically square footage, you can do as much research as you'd like. Obviously on GeoWarehouse and previous listings on MLS, but it is helpful to actually physically see the property. So try to send out an email with a little bit of a checklist so you can get the information that you're going to need in order to do a CMA and a nice sort of with a price range where you think the property could fall. And Cheryl and I will not always have an exact price range printed out in our CMA, because sometimes it will depend on what the property looks like, what the client will potentially be saying when we're asking these questions. So we may kind of adjust our price range with regards to comparative market analysis, price range on the fly.
Yeah, we manage their expectations as well. If we do give them a price range and if you haven't seen it in person, we've only seen photos or them walking us around with the phone, that this is the range based on the information you've given us, but that could change when we get to see it in person.
Exactly. And for us to see it in person, a lot of times after you set up the Zoom call and go through the presentation, at some point in time, you may have to ask them if they're on like a standalone computer. They can't carry that around per se. You may ask them to FaceTime call you or log into the Zoom meeting on their phone, just so that they can turn their camera around and walk around the property. So, and that's kind of important, because their technology is great when it works, but don't be surprised and don't get thrown off if it glitches. You know, all we can do is the best we can do under the circumstances that we're given. Okay, perfect. Shall we?
Yep.
So instead of the old knock knock, it'd be like, oh, hey, thanks for logging in. So nice to finally meet you face to face. Or of course, if it's someone you've already met, it's so great to see you again. Thanks for having us into your home. Obviously, with COVID being
we might make some COVID jokes and everyone starts laughing, loosen everyone up.
Yeah, exactly. Develop the rapport, make it easygoing, not terribly formal. You want to develop this rapport. Likability and trustability are the two most important thing in any sales job. So just be jovial, be polite, and try to not make it too serious. So first of all, I want to say thank you for welcoming us into your home. Do you mind if we, first of all, have a quick little look around the property, just so that we can, get a feel of what the property looks like? Would that be okay? Perfect. Is that all right? Excellent. So that we get them going. And we say we really appreciate that. Now, the first time that we see a property, we'd like to see it as a buyer would be seeing it for the first time. So we've taken a lot of clients to look at homes and condos, and we know, representing those buyers, what they're looking for. And so normally we'd say, why don't you sit at the table while we have a look around? But now you can be, the guided tour person while we have a quick look around your home. Would that be all right? Fantastic. So then we'll have our potential client wander around the property. We'll ask a few questions. We might be able to uncover if, grandma's wood whittled banister is worth way more in their mind than, any potential buyer would be. See how connected they are to the home, if there's a lot of emotion involved. So and we'll ask questions sort of on the fly as we do that. After we've had a tour around the property, we'll get them to sit back comfortably in front of their computer. And usually I will say, do you mind if I refer to my notes?
Like you actually don't need to see that.
I don't really need to see that because I can see it here. Just as an aside, we have done listing presentations in person. We think that we think that it's advantageous if you can, if they're comfortable with it, if you're comfortable with it, masked up, 6 feet apart, because there is something about physically being there in the property. I think that is a little bit more conducive to having them be able to.
However, this is about how to do it on Zoom.
Yeah,
so.
but so I just want to put that in there. So after we have them in front of the computer, we want to say that, first of all, we believe that the most important thing we can do today is that we make sure that we share with you all the facts and figures, and to be sure that we're in line with the goals that you're trying to achieve. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So Cheryl here has a short list of questions for you so that we don't miss anything of importance. A lot's going to depend on where you're at with the timeline for selling your home. And we're going to go through everything one step at a time. And if everything makes sense to you and you feel fully comfortable and confident that we can sell your home, we'll go ahead and get a listing agreement signed. And that is depending on where you are at sometimes with regards to your decision-making process. Is that fair enough? Great. So I'm just going to stop the presentation right here. If you pause after you say and talk about getting a listing agreement signed, ready to move forward. If you don't want to talk about the signatures, just say, if you feel great, let's move forward with this. They may indicate that they're interviewing some other agents. If you can kind of figure that out without straight up asking them if they're interviewing other agents, you don't necessarily want to plant the seed for them to go interview. But if you get the feeling that they are, you kind of want to know that, because you can then kind of prepare your close accordingly and try to get ahead of that, including telling them what they should be asking some of the other agents so that you can big yourself up.
And you can say, if you don't mind me asking, who else are you planning on interviewing, or who else have you interviewed, to see, you can sort of, if you know the people, decide how you're going to move forward as well.
You betcha. Okay, so is that fair enough? We're ready to go? Great. So we have 3 very important questions for you. First of all, you are looking to sell your home, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Number 2, are you going to price your home to sell, or do you want to keep it on the market for a really long time?
Well, obviously I want to sell it.
Okay, great. It's kind of a trick question. And would you want us to handle the sale for you?
Well, I guess if it goes well.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to help you along with that. With at the end of our presentation tonight, one of 3 things is going to happen. Okay. Number 1, you're going to have the opportunity to list your home with us. Number 2, you decide not to list your home with us. And number 3, we decide that we do not want to take your listings. Now, any one of these is fine. And a lot of times we'll take a little pause and they'll say, well, what do you mean? And we'll say, well, if for some reason we can't come into agreement on the listing price and the pricing strategy, it wouldn't really make sense for us to work together.
Or we might say, if we don't feel like we're a good fit.
That's it.
Because personality as well.
Yeah. If there's a lot of red flags. And
we take a lot of pressure off of both buyers and sellers to basically say, like, hey, it might not work out and we might not be the right people for you, and that's on you.
Yeah, and we'll say, and we're fine with that. There really is no pressure. We want them to leave the meeting thinking, well, it'd be great to work with them, even though they're not really that bothered.
We
right?
reverse psychology them.
Yeah, we do our best to do that. Okay, so let's quickly take a moment, and we're going to pass it over to Cheryl so we can review a very short list of questions regarding the sale of your home.
I don't always follow this list of questions exactly. It depends on how well we know the person. It depends on the rapport that we've already gained, or how I'm reading them. Are they talkative? Are they not talkative? But these are the general questions I follow. Where are you moving to and when? How soon do you have to be there by? And if we sell your home in the next 30 days, say, would that be a problem for you? On the flip side, what would happen if your home did not sell? And these questions make them think. You think they're very simple questions, but gets the ball rolling in their head, and they're like, oh crap, I didn't think of that. And then we ask, how much do you want to list your home for realistically? And they may say, that's why I've got you over here, I don't know. Or they may have a number, they're like, oh, this number, 100%. And then we don't comment on the number yet. We wait till we get into the CMA. We say, as real estate professionals, we study house, condos, and prices every day. Therefore, we assume when you list with us, you'll be at a price that will cause it to sell, correct? Yeah, of course. So what's a price you wouldn't go below? And then after we get that uncomfortable like price talk out of the way, quickly describe your property for us. And they'll just love that part. They go on and on and on and on. And then you got to try and wrap them up and say, how would you rate your property on a scale of 1 to 10? Very few people say 10 because obviously they wouldn't want to be moving if it was a 10. And then we ask, what would make that a 10? And that gives you idea, even as far as like how you market the property, the things that you want to focus on and not focus on. Can you think of anything positive or negative that may affect the sale of this house? And this is helpful not only for information for yourself, but to remind them that it might not be everybody's cup of tea, or there might be some things wrong that might affect the price. What is important to you in your experience during this real estate transaction? And I normally make a little joke and I'm like, okay, I got a really important question for you. So what is important to you in this real estate transaction? And people always have an answer right away. It's very quick, and it is either money or transparency or trust. Like they always have a thing, but then right there, you know what their personality is, and you know the thing that you need to focus on, even going forward in that presentation that is important to them.
And how you're going to cater the experience for them as well,
Yeah.
all the way through once you've signed the listing presentation.
We will then ask
Agreed.
the most serious question: what are your fears about this whole real estate transaction?
Biggest concerns and fears. That's a very good question that you can actually uncover a lot of information from them.
And they view it as you are caring and you care about what they think and what they feel. And I think right there, these questions and the way you ask them and listen to the answers and react to them show you that you're paying attention. And that's something super important, that you're not there for the transaction. You're not looking at them as dollars. You're looking at them as people. Then we'll say, do you have any questions? We'll maybe ask if they've done any changes in the home since they've moved in, but we get into that a little bit more later, like if we do end up listing the house. So, but we almost, by asking them those things, you're inserting themselves, you're inserting yourself as their listing agent already. So, and they start to think it as well. And then I'm like, okay, I'm all done.
That's it. And you know, this questionnaire does lead to quite a complex conversation.
Sometimes our presentations for listing and buy presentations will say like it shouldn't take more than 45 minutes, and then 2 hours later we're all laughing and joking. And
Yeah.
we're like, whoopsie, it took a long time.
Yeah, if we have a lot of rapport and we get sidetracked and we're having a great time, then sometimes it does go a little bit longer than we'd like it to. But so now after Cheryl's done, she passes it back over to me, and I say, so now there's really only 2 factors that we have to look at tonight. Number 1, your motivation to sell this home. And number 2, the price that we set on your home. And so what we'll go into now to cover that is the comparative market analysis. Now, the purpose of the comparative market analysis is to determine the value of your home in the eyes of a buyer. So you're aware how buyers determine value on a property, don't you?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Well, you're right. It's comparison shopping. So buyers determine value by comparison shopping because they're looking at the features and benefits of what your home has to offer, and they compare it with the features and benefits of similar homes that have sold recently or are currently on the market. So does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does. Awesome. So let's have a quick little look at our comparative market analysis. I'm now going to share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yep, we're good to go.
Awesome. And let's zoom in a little. There we go. All right. So I also want to let you know that the majority of this is pulled directly from the command designs.
Yeah.
We do insert photos of the property. We will change sometimes the font a little bit, but there's some really kick-ass designs in
We've used the
command.
base of command to
And
make this.
And then we dump our pages of our CMA that that we've designed into it just in the PDF. So first of all, there's the front of the home. We then insert a custom consultation prepared exclusively for Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And
People love to see their name on these. So.
Yeah, so, and then we'll change this front photo. The most recent one we did was for a single mom. So we thought this was a really kind of a nice photo. She's relaxed with her laptop. We will sometimes send over a pre-list presentation. I'm going to just send
But just, you can say, just includes this.
Yeah, which includes this page, which is a little bit of information about ourselves. Our pre-list presentation has typically this page about ourselves, some real broad market stats that we cover more in depth in the CMA. It also has a page of testimonials. So it's short and sweet, and they can read this prior to, we'll email the pre-list presentation over to them. So it's not too much information about the property per se, but it is information about us so that they feel comfortable about who we are, our numbers. And this would obviously be different compared to where you're at with your career. We also have our stats page for the last couple of years.
And for this page, although we did it from command, like this is all us. Like we actually came up with all the information in here because we wanted to make sure that we were giving the message of who we are, what our business is, how we want to be perceived, all of that. So yeah. You might have to sort of not just, I think there's something in there that followed something. I didn't like any of it, so I changed all of it.
And for those of you that are new agents, Keller Williams Advantage especially has some phenomenal stats in the Toronto market. So feel free to use Keller Williams Advantage brokerages numbers as a brokerage compared to other brokerages in this section. So you can tout that you're with one of the leading brokerages that has a better list to sell ratio, lower days on market, however you need to tweak those accordingly for yourself. So then after that, we basically have another page that says, how long does it take to sell a home? There's no easy answer. Some homes sell in a few days. Some may take several months. The key factors influencing a sale can give you significant control over market time.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second? So usually when John is doing this, he'll do most of the talking, but I will interject once in a while. And we try, because of the way that John and I and our personality is, like we'll cut each other off, but we'll make almost a joke of it. We'll be like, oh, we haven't got there yet, John, or we haven't got there yet, Cheryl, simmer down. And it makes them feel comfortable. Obviously, the kind of person we want to work with, we want people that are like us. So if they like that part of our personality, they'll be drawn to us immediately. I just wanted to stop because I interrupt them during this page all the time.
But for those single agents out there with awesome personalities, you don't have to read this line by line. You can glass over it, read the person.
Make it your own.
Yeah, and a lot of times on the buyer side of the presentation, we'll even at the very beginning say, if you find any of this pedantic and you just want to cut to the chase, let us know. Because we have some clients who are like, yeah, get on with it. And we have other clients that want to know every single little detail. So we can cater to both, if you know what I mean. So it's all about, reading your clients. So we talk about the fact that location is the biggest factor affecting value, the neighborhood desirability, competition. This is important because we say that buyers are going to compare your property against any other similar properties that are on the market at the time that you are on the market. And the buyers are going to interpret value based on other available properties, other options.
Know what that's going to look like when you come to market.
Exactly. So timing is another big thing. Of course, the real estate market might be a seller's market or a buyer's market. Right now, it's a seller's market. So now it's a triple seller's market. Market conditions can't be manipulated, but an individually tailored marketing plan can be developed accordingly. We talk about the condition of a home, that the property condition is going to affect both the price and the speed of sale. Optimizing physical appearances in advance preparation for marketing maximizes value. And the biggest thing is price. If the property is not properly priced, a sale may be delayed or even prevented. And our comprehensive market study will assist you in determining the best possible price.
If they stop us during any of this and ask questions about the market or the pricing or whatever, I sometimes will get into the whole thing that real estate, and you guys have heard this if you've been part of Tuesday Tour, Real estate is, 80% facts and figures, and we can decide what through comparable market analysis, what that house should sell for, but there's 20% emotion, which we can't predict. So we've got to make sure that you understand that timing and competition, that goes into the emotional part of
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah, we don't have control over crazy buyers, what they're going to, or we don't have control over your next door neighbor who just listed his home the day before. So there's a lot of things that we don't have control over, but we do take charge of the things that we do have control over. This is a nice little slide. I want to actually, there was an old listing presentation that Mike Clark group actually had, and I think we kind of tailored this. So you're going to see a couple of things that might look familiar there, Mike. So who controls what? The location obviously is a given. Financing in many cases is a given. We can do all the research asking the buyer agent how the buyer's finances are when deciding which offer to work with,
but we can't control
but we
it.
can't control it. Marketing, that is where we shine. We're well known for our next level marketing as well. The condition of the property, the owner is responsible for the condition with the help of us to be able to tell them what would need to be mitigated, rectified in order to make the property shine and be in good condition. And of course, the price, that is decided upon by the owner and the agent looking at the comparative market analysis and the different listing strategies.
And we sometimes will not even decide on a price till the day before it comes to market, because it will depend on what is on the market at that time and what happens in those couple of weeks leading up to it. As we all know, the market can change.
It can shift very quickly, for sure. We want to talk about the consequences of overpricing on selling time and price. So if you overprice a property, buyers and agents lose interest in properties that are going to be priced too high. To generate interest, the price may have to drop below the competition. If you look at the green dot going across, that is market value. If you price too high, obviously you're going to have a lot of activity and enthusiasm at the beginning. If you're priced too high, you may not. However, as the weeks go by, if you are overpriced, you're going to notice that you'll get less showings, and so you're forced to, of course, do price drops. And decreasing the price later is not going to generate the same enthusiasm.
And that's chasing the market.
We don't want to chase the market. So another thing that we talk about is progression rather than regression. If you're priced too high compared to the other comparable properties and over market value, there's nowhere to go but down. Do you want to keep dropping your price, or would you rather price aggressively and competitively with the hope of getting competition, with making your property look like better value in the market with a chance of increasing the amount for your home? That's what we could talk about with progression. We want to aim for progression rather than regression when talking about listing your property. And that brings us to the pricing and marketing strategies. So the first and the most popular in today's market is the holding offer strategy. And you're going to see this, that properties are priced significantly lower than market value, significantly lower than recent sales. And what we'll usually do is hold back on reviewing offers until a specified date, usually a week after it comes to the market, giving it a week's marketing period. We price under market value for increased traffic and showings, with the goal of multiple offers on offer night. The realtors that represent the buyers usually do due diligence to ascertain the market value from recent comparable sales. It's also our job to educate those buyer agents if they are not able to ascertain market value. So when in a multiple offer situation, which is the ideal situation, due to competition, the opportunity to have the potential buyers improve their offer is possible.
And this is the way you can maximize a sale. The market comes to you versus you deciding what price you want and then maybe not getting it and having to negotiate lower. The buyers decide.
That's right.
And then having that competition might mean that they're willing to pay a little bit extra.
It's like we talked about on Tuesday Tour, guys. We bring the market to you and the market will speak. And the best thing we can do is have it positioned the best, have it showing the best, and having it marketed the best.
And we have a holding offers video that if any of you haven't seen it, I would suggest watching it. It's so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
But we always suggest to our buyer or seller clients, like, we're going to send this video over if you want to understand the strategy better. And we send the YouTube video over. It's fun. It explains it really simply. And we can't tell you the number of positive feedback we get, like, oh, now
I get it now. Yeah. So, and when we're working with buyers recently, this is as an aside, we're just like, don't look at list price. Pretend that list price is $1. Because some prices will be priced, 200,000 under market, some 500,000 under market, some 50,000 over market. So you can't look at asking price because they're not asking for it.
A mortgage broker told me the other day that Irene Krasansky,
Yeah.
she calls it the marketing price, not the list price or the asking price.
Yeah.
So, which is a really good way to look at it.
Perfect. So after we talk about the holding offer strategy, we talk about the offers anytime strategy. This is usually more conducive to a balanced or buyer's market. And this is when you would price at or slightly below market value in order to expedite the sale process. John and Cheryl determine market value from recent comparable sales. A 24 to 48 hour irrevocable is often used in conjunction with this
And
strategy.
we explain that that's something we can ask for, but it's not always something that a realtor may follow. We try to get it a seller's direction so we can force it a little bit, but at the end of the day, we all know that when we see a 48-hour irrevocable when we're on the buyer side, we ignore it.
Yeah, and with this offers anytime strategy, it's sometimes used for sellers that do need to sell. They are quite motivated. They have a price they're happy with, and we know that if it's a price that should get a lot of interest, that's priced at or slightly below market value, and they're fine with it, they just want to get it sold, then we can implement this pricing strategy. The offers anytime B, we don't recommend. This is a pricing above market value with the hopes of achieving the higher results. There's the inherent risk of fewer showings and having your property go stale on the market. It could become stigmatized and often having to price reduce.
Aside to that, and everybody might come across a client like this who's like, I don't care, I'm not super motivated to sell, let's just put it at that price and see what happens.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to put an output of energy into that listing, it is what it is.
Yeah, if
but,
it already looks good, you don't have to put too much time or money into it, and you want to get a sign on the line, that's something that some people will do.
Yeah.
So we also then explain, especially for first-time home sellers that have not done the rodeo before, that you do not have to accept an offer. Your options also include a counter offer or a sign back, changing the offer amount or some of the terms and presenting it back to that seller, or sorry, that buyer as a new offer, or you can flat out reject it. In other words, letting the irrevocable expire. And so, and if, go ahead.
John, what if the holding offers thing doesn't work and we don't get the amount that we want?
Well, you've probably often seen this when a low price property has its offer night and it doesn't sell. And then a day or two later, it comes back on the market at a higher price.
I find that so confusing.
What is, I don't get it. It didn't sell at the lower price and now it's at a higher price. How's it going to sell at the higher price? This is when you have to kind of explain that they obviously had this higher price in mind as a goal for their sale price on offer night. Because they did not get it.
We're thinking from the sellers, not the buyers. Remember when Andy said, but I don't, what if we don't get the price we want?
Yes.
Then we can list it the next day at the price that you're more comfortable accepting.
Exactly.
This happens all the time.
Yeah.
He just put his buyer hat on for
That's
a second
right.
there.
So yes, we can go from option one, holding offers. And if that is not a successful strategy, we can pivot after the offer night to number two, offers anytime. Okay. So again, we also wanted to talk about how buyers determine value from comparison shopping. The competing properties on the market will directly affect the perceived value of the subject property. Properties priced competitively will sell quickly. Overpriced properties will be overlooked. Our goal is to position your property to be the best of the best in its price point.
And you'll notice that we've already said that a couple of times. We repeat these kind of managing expectation lines over and over and over again, because we don't want to be in the position where we're like, we told you that once in that one line in that thing that we did for you. We want to like make sure that they know it so they don't come back to us and say, well, you said, no, I didn't.
Yeah, because as you know, I'm sure a lot of the stuff is just doing this, and some people might even have the glazed eyes.
Yeah.
Repetition can sometimes be very useful for it sort of getting ingrained.
It can always be really useful. I know.
Yeah. So all this is designed to work in conjunction with the seller's wants and needs. Every situation is different and every property warrants specific strategies. So before we go on to the CMA, I also want to talk very quickly about what we do, what we provide when we sell your home, and the compensation that is provided for the services that we do provide to you. So we have a little piece here that calls our fee for our service, where the commission dollar goes. Cheryl and I are a full service real estate team, meaning that we go above and beyond, and we provide things that many other listing agent brokerages don't, such as consultations for staging, in many cases staging, in many cases small repairs, storage.
And at this
decluttering.
point, when he's going over this, I can normally see like them getting all like, what, how much?
Yeah,
So the standard across the board in Toronto is 5%, and 2.5% of that goes to the buyer's agent and 2.5% comes to us. That is the standard. We do not offer you standard amount of service. We go above and beyond, and here are the things that we offer with you. And if you'd like to know how our structure is broken down, this is how much money we have to give away from that.
that's right. So as you can see, half of that, 5% goes to the agent that brings the buyer. That should be non-negotiable because we want to make sure that the agents are featuring your property. You want to make sure that they're going to be compensated accordingly. Now, the other 2.5%, as you can see, we also have to pay for our professional fees, our listing marketing, our operating costs, the brokerage fees. So just so that you know, our net before taxes is approximately 21% of that.
And we don't always get into this. Like sometimes we're like, yeah, 5%.
Yeah.
So we're like, we don't explain anything.
Yeah, and this is a page that you can take in or out depending. If it's a good friend of yours that you're doing it and you want to just say, you know what, they'll probably ask you what you charge and say, oh, it's 5%. We cover the vast majority of everything.
John asked me if I discount.
Oh yeah, so Cheryl, I heard another couple of agents that offer a discount. Do you?
No. Next question. But then I will say, it's a standard 5%. And if you want to go with somebody who's willing to do a discounted job, then you know what, feel free. That is not the way that John and I run our business. We do offer more for 5%. We want to make sure that we take this all off your shoulders and we handle every step of the way. And if that's what you're looking for,
then we're your people because you do get what you pay for. And our results speak for themselves.
And we've only once had a little bit of pushback on that. And it was actually pretty recently.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, it's fine. We explained that all of the objection handlers you hear in Tuesday Tour, like that if they can't fight for their commission, then when are they going to fight for you when the sale price and the negotiating and cover all of that stuff. But we find that if you go in confidently, they're just asking to see if they can sometimes. They're not like stuck to a price.
Exactly.
Oh, I broke down. This is what it was the last time. Somebody had offered to do it for 0.5% less. And I said to them, okay, how much, if you don't mind me asking, did they offer? And I did the math at the same price. They had said they could sell it for one price. I said, if we sell it for this price as well, it's only $5,000 extra for us. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get you more than $5,000 extra net.
Yeah.
We're probably going to sell it for, and then I said the $30,000 over asking or whatever number they gave. And she's like, no, I can see that.
Makes sense. Now, these two pages that I just showed you, a lot of times I'll put these at the very end, just because I got this presentation together for you guys really quickly. These are, in many cases, the last two slides. So this is sort of out of order. But so after that, we do go to our actual comparative market analysis. So we have the subject property, beautiful property, 167 Lyndhurst, freehold town, 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, 3 parking, ravine views, 3,500 square feet. Etc. A lot of times we'll do I do a lot of little screen captures and save those as little PNG files, and I can just drop them and upload them into the presentations. Here we have the side-by-side property comparison. Again, what we do is we will do some that are on the market, and we will also do some that are sold.
This particular property, we had a lot because there's nothing that is sold that has been like it. So we talked a little bit about what's on the market, why things didn't sell on the street, what things we're doing in the overall like CO2. So we don't always go super in detail. I will normally study the crap out of the side-by-side comparison online. We are a little bit different in person, but I'll just have a conversation. Like John will have this up and I'll like talk to them about what it is that I uncovered and why, just to give them a price range, because it's too much information to give them, especially since they're still probably processing what you've just gone through with them, and they just want to know a price.
Yeah.
So you just want to basically put yourself out there as the expert.
And you want to use properties that are going to support what your market analysis is, both from an on the market standpoint. A lot of these are offers anytime, not holding offers, which was interesting. And as well, the ones that had just sold, if you do have some good comparables.
And that's something to look at with the CMA. Look to see how long days on market are, if they held offers, like all that kind of stuff. And if you speak about those things to this potential client, they'll immediately understand that you're the expert.
That's correct. Now, another thing that I know Mike Clark does, which is really useful, is for any specific property that you're using as a good comparable, he will also show, have a folder with listing photographs so that people can see the photographs of the beautiful kitchens, of the big bedrooms, of everything like that. And have a price for that type of property so that people that can compare those photos to their property, that can kind of give them an idea of what their property is worth. If they have a high number in their mind, yet their property does not show as well as this property with these beautiful photographs, you can then support your list price, or at least your price range. So we'll go through these. The next one, we have another one that's on the market and some that were recently sold. In this case, the recently sold properties, most of them are sold, holding offers at 199, sold for 2.4. This one held offers at 149, sold for 2465. We had another property that was listed at 2495, ended up selling for 2450, but it sold in 6 days, relatively quickly. Square footage wise, conditions of the homes wise, even though ours was a slightly different type of property, we thought that these were a decent evaluation. And so for that reason, we came up with a list price range from 2.4 to 2.6 million on this property.
And it's a big range. So we explained to them that because it's such an unusual property that she has, it is nothing like any of these, that we don't know the emotional aspect. Yeah. So we can say, and we did the Jeff Luciano thing as well. So we got a market value based on how much the market has gone up, and it put something in the middle. So we said, on the low side, if this house doesn't speak to anybody because everything on your street sits, we could see it selling as low as 2.4. On the high side, it could go for 2.6. And it's a crazy market right now, so we can't predict anything. So if we hit somebody who loves it, I can see it selling for more, but do not expect that because we do not know.
Yeah, we always say we love to underpromise and overdeliver, and that we do everything. We leave no stone unturned. All of the little things that we do all add up.
Everything that we can control to the nines.
Correct. And then I pretty much have the same statistics from the MLS CMA. If any of you have ever gone into Stratus and done the CMA there, what I typically do is print that off, and then I just screen capture that and then drop it into our particular listing presentation on our CMA. So here it is, subject properties, 167 Lyndhurst, suggested price should sell for between 2.4 and 2.6. On the market, you see that the list price is in the 2.6 range, 5 properties, average days on market right now is 39. The recently solds had an average list price of 2.2, average sold price of 2.4. We personally think her property shows better, slightly better than the 3 that have recently sold. And then we also said that looking at the comparables on what's on the market, what has recently sold, that we think the most effective listing strategy at this time would be the holding offer strategy. If we were to list it today, we'd be recommending listing at 1,999,
or even the price that she bought it
or
for
or potentially
we haven't decided yet, and she was cool with that.
Yeah, she was cool with that. Or or 215 and see what the market brings in 7 days.
And we will say that too, like, we can give you these couple of different strategies, but we will not decide on something until the last minute. We'll keep repeating that as well, because let them get stuck on something.
Yeah.
Don't let them go, well, no, John and Cheryl only said this will work. Like we're saying, it's malleable, it's going to change. Maybe you'll get that, maybe you won't, but we'll work with you to get there.
Correct.
And if they have like a specific, like we try to cover this in the beginning, like what are your specific goals, right? That's why I asked that questionnaire, so that you can sort of push them in the direction to get to that goal.
Yeah. And you can probably remember as well at the very beginning of the presentation, we asked them what they thought their property should be selling for. If they did give us an answer, that kind of, gives us a heads up that we have a lot of things here to support either what their thoughts were, or to, support that our price range is actually, the numbers kind of don't lie.
And just because if they give you a high number, we've had many people who, once you show them like those comparables, if it's an easier CMA, they go, oh, okay, yeah, maybe I was thinking too high. We have a lot of people do that. You hear the horror stories about people being, no, I want the 200 grand more. And those people definitely exist. But more people, I think, exist where if you can show them the facts and figures to back up what you're saying, they will jump on board.
Yeah. Finally, we have the map is all over the map because there were so few comparables for this particular property. Only like 4 homes had sold in their tiny little neighborhood.
And they were, none of
And
them
they
were
were,
the same.
none of them were like our client's property. So you sometimes have to get a creative. You sometimes have to look outside of the areas.
We maybe should have used a condo as an example for this.
Exactly. Maybe. So Jeff Luciano came up with a very excellent way for difficult properties to
Or any property.
or any property to value using an Excel sheet where you put in certain values from list price of the day that it was purchased. I'm sorry, sale price of the day it was purchased, and each one of the neighborhoods. We're happy to share that with you. Jeff, I know, has shared it in the past.
So what just because I understand this really well with the numbers, what it asks you to do is just enter some numbers that you can pull from MLS, but it takes the year or time of that the house was purchased, both at a community level, a municipality level, and a Toronto level, and then compares it to the last full month that you have access to. So for us, it's February 2021. And it does a percentage change as an overall and applies it to the community level, the municipality level, and Toronto level. And then it spits out based on those percentages what the sale price should be.
Right. So you can see that the sale price when it was purchased November 2018 was 2185. We plugged in the numbers for community, municipality, and area.
So it gave us,
and it gave the sale price range of 26, 2599, and 2546.
so we had already done the math and saw comparables that said it should go for 2.4 to 2.6, and then to actually do the facts and figures and have those percentages say, yeah, 2.5 to 2.6 is actually right on the money.
Yeah.
And you can give this to any buyer agent as well. If somebody comes in and gives you a 2.2 offer, you can say, listen, this is the percentages that the market has gone up in the area, in the city, and this is the numbers based on those percentages. So this is actually market value.
That's right. And another thing I like to do is I go over to House Sigma. I created an account. If you go to market statistics, you can actually plug in the area and the type of property, and you can do a 5-year, a 1-year, a 20-year. And
gives you what the broker base kind of stats
yeah.
are, but of all of Toronto.
So this is the median price and average days on market for townhomes in Toronto, all communities. This is just kind of interesting to show where the market has been going, market temperature, the amount of inventory that's on the market. So if somebody's really stats driven, something like this could be kind of wow them. All right. And I know we're going a little bit long, but that's pretty much the last slide that we use for our market evaluation. So what we usually do then is kind of wrap it up and saying, so now knowing what your property should be worth in the open market right now for a list price, and knowing that our strategy that we would recommend would be holding offers priced at 199 most likely, with a sale price in the range from 2.4 to 2.6. Does that make you comfortable enough so that we can get the ball rolling to get you where you need to be right now?
Hell, I just love you guys. I'm gonna sign right now.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I know we went a little bit longer, but we do
Sorry,
have.
Rachel. We
Yeah,
still have 5 of your
Rachel.
minutes.
I know.
It's all good.
No, that's good.
We do have quite a robust and comprehensive presentation.
You can see why we always go long too.
Yeah. But it's worked for us. We have been fortunate enough to, our very first listing presentation we ever had, we used the bold script. We were
almost verbatim.
We were brand new. We had no clue what we were doing. We didn't realize we were in competition with 2 other agents. One that was actually in our office at the time in 2017, and we got the listing. So
Awesome.
practice makes perfect, and confidence can sell. But always make sure that you're prepared. Have these facts and figures. Know the market. Know the statistics in the area, the property types, and the more prepared you are, the better and more confident you'll be that you'll be able to get the listing.
If there's any newbies too on this call, that one listing which we got during Bold in our first 4 or 5 months as realtors, we have been able to trace 70% of our business back to that listing. So.
Wow, that's
we'll
incredible.
Open up some questions. We went a little bit longer, but
Rachel,
on top of this, we have Rachel talking. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And
so is it okay if I just kind of read through some questions in the chat quickly first?
Sure.
Yeah, so there was a question whether you would be willing to share your list of questions and your listing presentation and the Excel file. So if you could send that to me, or would you rather people reach out directly to you? Because I'm fine with either.
Can we send it to you? That would be.
Yep. That'd be awesome.
I
So,
have a couple that I just kind of pull questions from, so I'll send both over to you.
okay, perfect. So I'll put my email in the chat box, and anybody who doesn't have it, just reach out to me. And once I get that information from John and Cheryl, I will forward it to you. That'd be perfect. And then what was the other question? There was a question about pulling comparables, but obviously with a unique property, I mean, that's a challenge anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I think those were all the questions. So unless somebody has something they want to ask quickly before we turn it over to Rachel.
I saw Mike's question there. It says listing. Mike, it was our listing presentation. Our pre-list is like very small. We email it. We don't hand deliver anything. We're like the new technology kids.
So sorry, you have a pre-list, and sorry, you don't deliver it?
We don't deliver it.
We
Hand
email.
deliver. We email it.
You email it, okay.
Yeah.
PDF.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share the pre-list. I've got one for condos and kind of one for freehold, as well as a listing presentation, one for condo, one for freehold. I'll send all of that over to Angelique for you guys, along with the list of questions that Cheryl had and the Excel sheet from the amazing presentation that Jeff Luciano did with regards to getting market value in that Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Also, Emma, Jeff's thing, we have it as well. We can send that to Angelique. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a quick question, guys.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, I have to go next week on a listing presentation, and it's a 2-story property. They keep comparing their property to a 3-story property. Right? Very, very different. And I know what they want to achieve is not going to happen. How would you go about this? I just know, even when I show them the numbers, they are very logical people. They still won't comprehend it. They just have this number in their head. And it to me, actually, if they got anywhere near, it would be a complete miracle. How would you go about this? Because this is going to be my biggest obstacle.
This could probably be a 10 or 15-minute conversation. We're happy to hop on a call with you later tonight or tomorrow, as soon as we're finished up with this.
I think it's about personality and just seeing, like, having a conversation with them and finding out pain points and all of that, you know, because obviously, like, the number being in their head very strong. Actually, a lot of people probably have come across this before. I'm sure.
Yeah. This is a great objection for Tuesday tour as well. If you have the
Is
time.
it before after Tuesday that you should bring it up on Tuesday?
Yeah.
It's actually, I'm seeing them before Tuesday.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll arrange for a call maybe tomorrow, or someone, if that's all right.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
All
That'd
right,
be great.
Thank
We
you.
want to make sure we get to Rachel's session. So
Yeah,
I know
absolutely.
My session is going to be relatively quick. So if anyone has any
Awesome.
other questions for John and Cheryl, you guys did an amazing job. But if anyone
that
has
was
any
awesome.
questions for them, that's time to ask away.
Or we
Any
can
further
ask
questions?
after. We can continue the
Okay.
conversation after.
All right. So if you weren't on the call at the beginning, when John kind of introduced everyone, my name is Rachel. I'm going to be walking you through kind of virtual open houses. I've had a ton of success with them. How many people have done virtual open houses so far? If you want to just say in the chat, amazing, John and Cheryl. Anyone else that's done them? So for me, I've had about either 5 to 25 attendees per open house, which is the numbers are slowly getting larger and larger. And I've done 6 transactions from virtual open house leads and gotten several people under contract from just doing virtual open houses. Majority of my business was from doing open houses in the past. So once kind of COVID hit, we couldn't be in person. I've kind of tailored mastered the virtual open houses per se. The best time slots that I have found to do the virtual open houses are on the weekends. I find a lot more people have more time on the weekends than they do in the evenings. There's very low numbers during the weekdays. You can still do them because one lead is better than no lead. You might get 1 to 3 people on the weekdays. But weekends, the 2 timeframes that I've seen the most success are 11 a.m. or 3 p.m. I find when it's a little bit staggered from the afternoon kind of routines and chores that people need to do, and it's closer to the end of the day or the start of the day, that's when you see the most people coming on. And when I'm doing these virtual open houses, I make sure that there's a waiting room function set on, because it's difficult to have, sometimes there's 5 people on at once and not everyone has their camera on or not everyone is engaging, which can be sometimes challenging, but I have found that the best way to make sure people are engaging is just letting 1 or 2 people in at a time and putting the waiting room function on, just so that there can be more conversation happening. At one point I had 10 people on and people weren't comfortable talking or asking questions, just a bit more difficult to have that engagement. And Sue just asked the questions. I do use Zoom. It's all done through Zoom. And with the waiting room function on, I found it to be extremely beneficial than people just coming on, which is really difficult to manage. Any questions with that before I move on to the marketing side of it, just the kind of flow of the actual virtual open house?
A quick question. Sorry.
Yeah.
How long is your open house? Like, how long do you typically do it for?
Great question. So usually just an hour. I find I've done 2 hours and the later part is not that successful. And what we're actually starting to do, and I'll talk about it a bit more in the marketing piece, is for the first, say 11 to 12, doing just for realtor.ca. And then if we wanted to do a second hour, we'll send out a database blast and do that from 12 to 1. We'll do that as well, just to limit the amount of people that come on and kind of spread it out. But usually just an hour. We recently started to do it for longer. Another question that just came in, do you record it? We do not record it because we want people to contact us about the property. We do, I'll talk into marketing. So we market it to realtor.ca. They just changed the rules where you cannot have a registration link anymore, which is unfortunate. Before, people will have to come on, register, put their email and phone number before they hopped onto Zoom. You cannot do it. If you have that function set on, it will not show up on realtor.ca, which is kind of frustrating, but it can still be managed. We also send out postcards. Let me just show you what these postcards look like. So we send these out to our farm area. So it's text to join and then my phone number. So I've had several people text me, ask for the Zoom login information for the virtual open house. What I do is I actually do it from a separate time that I'm gonna be changing it to doing it from a separate time because I find that it's just too many people on. So we're gonna do text to join virtual open house Saturday, Sunday with no time, and whatever time works for them, we kind of book a virtual showing. And I've gotten a bunch of contact information from just doing this postcard drop to the farm area. I also sent out a database blast right before the virtual open house, and we get a good number of people coming on just from our database and some repeat clients that are interested in the property or just to kind of re-engage with your database and to reconnect with them has been extremely helpful. I also do social media, so your typical Facebook, Instagram, and do a blast through command. And then the last thing that I found to be extremely useful in getting contact information is actually leaving an open house sign out in front of the property that says just text to join virtual open house and then your phone number. And people walking by, especially if you have a high traffic listing, I've gotten a ton of contact information and phone numbers just from doing that, from leaving an open house sign out at the front of the house, virtual open house, text, and then my number to join. And you'd be surprised at how many people have responded to that. We tried the barcode, but we found that this is more beneficial. Sorry, Barbara, saw you had a question there.
Just wanted to know if you do the virtual open house by yourself or do you have somebody else with you that manages the waiting room?
I do by myself. So there's a function that you hear a chime when someone comes in, and then you just see everyone in the waiting room, and then you just let people in. It's pretty easy, and I just do it from my phone. And you don't have that many people waiting in the waiting room at one time.
Okay, and so what do you do if somebody new joins in and you're in a different room? Do you start over? Or?
So sometimes I just say, we're starting on the second floor. If there's a space that you haven't seen, I'll go back and show you, just so you have whereabouts of where I'm in the house, second floor, and then we're going back down to the main. But I try not to, as best as I can, to have more than 1 or 2 people on at a time. And if I find that people aren't engaging with me and talking and their screens are off, I'll let more people in, but it's kind of just managing it. Each situation is a little bit different. Any other questions? All right. That's it. So just to recap, if anyone has any questions about how to link the Zoom link to realtor.ca, I'd be happy to jump on a call afterwards and set that up.
Hi there.
Emma?
Right, hi there, everyone. This sounds complicated. You break it down really easily and beautifully, but it sounds really complicated. I could just imagine mine going totally wrong. So is there any way we can get more information about this so that we can understand it all, like step by step?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you afterwards of kind of breaking it down even further and what it looks like, and not just on a high level. And I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone else on not such a high level points and talk about it a little bit more.
If I can add as well, I believe if you go and log into Stratus or log into your TREB homepage, if you go to the search function at the top, just type in virtual open house, and there will be documentation most likely, along with links that explain exactly how to set it up, kind of a step-by-step thing. That's what we did when we've, like at the beginning of the pandemic, when they first launched this, we just Googled it. We went and logged into TREB, and the Toronto Real Estate Board has documentations kind of step-by-step on how to do that. So you might want to just try that first. And if you have any issues or problems with that, reach out to Rachel or ourselves.
Rachel, you're amazing.
You are amazing.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys. You guys are too.
Well, guys,
questions
that was
for either of us?
awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That was really good. John, Cheryl, Rachel, like, wow. It
That
would be
was
fun to
pretty
actually
awesome.
have like a Zoom, because I know Deb Bennett was talking the other day about doing multiple offers in Zoom, which I just think that's like, what? But yeah, for entering the rooms. How long would a class be, maybe, Rachel, if you did one in April? If you did a class for Zoom for open houses?
Probably be half an hour, and
Yeah.
probably be a lot more like Q&A than anything else. But I'd be happy to do that, because I think there is a ton of opportunity and a lot of ways that you can generate business from it.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
I agree. We'll look at adding something into our calendar.
Cool.
That'd be awesome.
Wow, great guys.
So
Amazing.
Angelique, I'll send all those docs and everything like that over to you probably later tonight. We're out the door for a busy afternoon.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. So just reach out to me if you would like any of those, and keep in mind, you might not see an email back until tomorrow. That was an incredible session. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Very
guys.
informative.
Look, it was 1 hour.
1 hour,
Yeah,
exactly.
perfect timing.
Awesome.
Awesome. Good job, everyone.
All right, I'll go get them.
Thank
Awesome.
you.